This video is sponsored by Wildlife Command Center Coffee. More about them at the end of the video. Hey everybody, it's me, John Ward, and I am back with another One Filmmaker, One Film. And this is a special episode because Joe Lujan, who is with us today, was the very first person that I interviewed for One Filmmaker, and now he's back for a second interview, and we are going to be looking at Immortal Wars Resurgence, which is the second film in the, if I can get the light off of, there we go, Immortal Wars Resurgence. Where's your, oh here, you even signed it for me. I thought maybe, there we go, that's what I'm looking for. And he even signed it for me, look at that, what a nice guy. And so this is what we're going to be talking about today. So, hey, Joe.
How's it going?
I'm fine.
For having me again.
Yeah, well, thank you for being on here. So, yeah, I thought that this would be pretty cool having you on as the first person that I interviewed, and then the second interview that I've done with that person. So,
no, thank you.
Yeah, no, it's great having you on. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do this was because of Immortal Wars Rebirth is coming out soon. And so we'll have you back on for that one too. But I have a few things here. I have I have a couple comic books that you did.
Nice. Oh yeah, there you go. That's the latest issue of the Vanquishers.
And this is number 3.
Yeah.
God, that black background just wants to kill this thing. There we go. Number 3. And then there's this one here.
Tricalypse. Yeah, number 2. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 of 5.
Yeah.
And on the back here is, now this is interesting, is...
Oh, that's old school. Yeah. So Olive is what was once the Immortal Wars Rebirth.
Okay.
Yeah. We did a title change during production so that people can coincide with the franchise of the Immortal Wars.
And now on the back of this one, it's The Dawning, but this has now been changed to Legends.
That has a title change. Yeah, that's called now Immortal Legends.
Immortal Legends, okay.
Yeah.
And then we got now this is one that I got autographed when you guys were doing your screening. So this has everybody on it.
Oh yeah. Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And I got greedy just in case this got ruined. I had everybody sign this.
That's cool. I don't even have that. That's pretty awesome. That is really cool.
Yeah, that was everybody that night that was there. So that was try to get that back in there. There we go. And then I also have, and you had mentioned that this is a title change to Legends. So it's Joe Lujan's The Dawning, the complete collection, but now it's Legends.
Immortal Legends.
Immortal Legends. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's season 1 and 2. We decided to do a title change once we started working on season 3. So it'll be now, well, I want to say now season 2 because we put season 1 and 2 together as a complete season, and now we're doing season 3. Season 2 is what would originally have been season 3, and that's called Immortal Legends. Yeah,
because I got these here. So here's
that was the original season 1 and 2. Now that's together. Those both seasons are now together, and that's season 1 of Immortal Legends.
Which then, so both of those are in this one here.
Yeah, I believe that DVD has more like special features, I believe.
Yeah, it's all 8 episodes, so it's both of these combined. God, that black is really killing me. Onto one disc, and it's got let's see, the special features. Yeah, like Behind the Fire, The Dawning, featurette, Dawn of the Wars, The Immortal Wars First Look, 2 motion posters of the Immortal Wars, the Immortal Wars promo trailer, then the Immortal Wars official trailer, the Immortal Wars official teaser trailer, and then Dominion Industries UVRDM.
Oh yeah.
Looks like
Oh my god, that's old school.
yeah, it looks like sponsored with TIW sponsor
Yeah.
teaser.
Yeah, so when we did that, that was like a promo, a marketing thing we did for the film, the first Immortal Wars, and we did like this commercial of the UVRDM, which is the LED lights that suppress the powers of the deviants in the film. So we did like a fake commercial, and we did like, you know, Dominion Industries is like the sponsor of the Immortal Wars, kind of, you know, giving it that real element to
Oh, gotcha.
the Immortal Wars. Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing on here, Freedom Will Be Ours teaser trailer.
Oh yeah, that was different. That was the second teaser trailer for the Immortal Wars. So when The Dawning came out, I don't believe the Immortal Wars was out yet. I think the Immortal War, The Dawning was being released. The episodes were being released while the film had already done its screenings. Now it was like getting ready for the DVD release.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I wrote down some stuff on these because I found it kind of interesting. Yeah, here we go. So The Dawning parts 1 and 2, it's 8 parts. So the characters that are in these, so like part 1 is 17 minutes, part 2 is 19 minutes. The special features run 7 minutes. And then we're seeing people like Rain, Seth, Decay. I mean, there are people in these that are in the 2 films.
Yeah. So when it comes to The Dawning, which is now Immortal Legends, I wanted that to be more like a web series that streams for free on Carcass Studios' website, and they're all it ranged between like 5 to 10 minutes each episode. It was origin stories to all the characters in my universe, which consists of like 140 characters. So that's kind of where that went. Now with the new season of Immortal Legends, we've pushed it a little bit more. So each episode is now running 25 to 30 minutes long.
Oh, wow.
That's
okay.
That's what kind of encouraged me to put all of season 1 and 2 together as one, as a sole season. And then the next season will be longer episodes.
So if people were to pick these up, then would they would watch this first, then the Immortal Wars, and then Resurgence?
Well, not necessarily. I know certain episodes, like all the Tricolores episodes, are all origins before the Immortal Wars. I want to say, I'm trying to think of all the episodes. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that they're all before the Immortal Wars. The next season, it's kind of jumping throughout the whole timeline of the universe. So it's going to be just its own thing, and you kind of just connect it when you see the story, how that plans out.
Okay, because on these, let's see. So it's the Triclip Saga parts 1 and 2. And then Frozen Grip and Fire and Water. So that would be Decay, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, Frozen Grip is Decay, Fire and Water is Iroh, and Rain.
And then, let's see, Retribution.
That's Rain, yeah.
And then the Triclip Saga Part 3. And then Civil Battles. And then
that includes a lot of them.
Okay, and then Age of the Feathers Final Round.
Yeah. So basically, they're all before the first Immortal Wars. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I'll on the episodes, a lot of the episodes even had title changes. So, like the Triclip Saga 1, 2, and 3, they all have their own sole title now. It was just a change that we wanted to do just to connect things with the comic books and to help with the story as far as like where everything lands in the timeline is basically what we did.
Okay. And tell me a little bit about Rain, because we don't see a lot of Rain in the movies, do we? I don't think.
No. So Rain only makes appearances. He's only made appearances in part 1 and 2 of the Immortal Wars. Well, now he's in Rebirth. He does come out in Rebirth. He's a bigger character. Rain is a character that I wrote, which was inspired by my little brother, my younger brother, I should say. Eric, who plays him in the film as well. That character basically is out for revenge. Dominion Industries has murdered his family, and now he's out for revenge and wants to join, almost along the same lines of Iroh's story. They're both out for revenge to kill Dominion for what they've done to their families.
Okay.
But I've always wanted to just give little glimpses of Rain. He's made appearances in part 1 in the beginning during like the intro sequence. You'll see him in like little squares. Same for part 2. He's only made minor appearances, but then in the third installment, Rebirth, he's you see a little bit more of who he is and what he's doing.
Okay. And I definitely had an interesting day yesterday doing some research on this, because today is November 1st, Monday. Yesterday was Halloween. And instead of watching horror movies like one would normally do, I had a Joe Lujan, Joe Lujan marathon. There we go. I'd say that 10 times. So I ended up watching Immortal Wars Resurgence. I watched, what I have Dawning, now Legend. And then I watched Rebirth, which has not come out yet. And so it was a full day of Immortal Wars. So
I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's fine. I ordered a pizza. I just kicked back and just watched Immortal Wars the entire day and just took notes. So so it was an interesting, fun night. So
I mean, you can kind of piece it together when you watch the installments, you know.
What was the original intention with the short films then, if this was before the movies? Just were these like pieces to get money to make the film?
The film was already cut. The film was already cut when I decided to do the Dawning. And I wanted the Dawning to be just something that was exclusive for Carcass Studios' website. Just to draw some traffic, get people interested in, you know, going to the website. And then I just liked the whole short stories and short films. I could, you know, fly through them pretty quickly as far as shooting them and editing. So I kind of got hooked to like, let's create another one. I will say that some of the episodes were also compiled from scenes that didn't make the cut of the film.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So some of the episodes were actual scenes that just didn't fit the film when we did the final cut before distribution. And I just felt like they were good scenes, but they just didn't fit. But I still wanted to utilize them somehow instead of just leaving them as deleted scenes. So we decided, you know what, let's focus on this character for this episode. And that's how that started. Now it's progressed to doing actual short films about the characters and showing their stories and what they went through for the next season. And I believe the first episode of the next season is a character called Hellion, in which Obscura is a film that it's about.
And what is Obscura?
So Obscura is another feature film that is in the same universe. I have a character that's called Impusa. She's one of the main villains in the comic books. And she is human creature-esque. She's like a half mermaid, half human creature type character.
Okay, cool.
And Obscura ended up being, I teamed up with a company called Rocket Pig, and I co-directed with Jerry G. Angelo. And we decided to do a horror creature film, but then leaving it still part of the universe of the Immortal Wars. So, so the corporation that's running everything is still Dominion Industries. And I'm saying too much.
Mute, cut.
There is a trailer that is out already. Robert Lasardo's in it. There's a lot of familiar faces you'll see from the Immortal Wars that are going to be in Obscura. And Jerry Giangelo, Aubrey Trujillo. There's a lot of different elements. It has some military, a really strong military element to the film, but it also sticks with the sci-fi action horror. It's a mesh of a lot of things, but it's a real cool project.
Okay. And where does, because you've worked on also another one, DK's Paradox. Where does that fit within the whole universe?
So in the universe, so if you were to watch them in in the order of story, not in the order of release. The first one would be Triclips, the comic book series. That'll be the first one. Then it would end up going into Obscura.
Oh.
Then Decay's Paradox would be taking place. Then it'd be The Dawning. Then the Immortal Wars. Then the Immortal Wars, Resurgence, and Rebirth happening simultaneously at the same time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then Redemption would be the final film. But following that, then comes the comic book, The Vanquishers. Then the new comic series that I have coming out called Terminus. So that's the order of the timeline. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Have you made one of those Marvel timelines, but for your stuff?
I have. We do have a Ravage Reign Universe timeline that pinpoints exactly where everything lands.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I ever asked you on like the last interview, how did, the Ravage Reign Universe, like how did you come up with that title?
So I had already started creating the characters when I was in college, and I was doing that just as I was doing an online comic and just creating these characters that I wanted to see come to life. Never did I ever think it was going to be in a film or anything like that. It was just a comic thing. But I would kind of create these characters based off of people I met or friends or family members. And then it surpassed over 100 characters. After that, then I realized, okay, well, I need to, obviously, for copyright issues and to cover everything that I created, I was like, I needed to do like a universe that kind of covers everything as a whole. And I just felt like Ravage Reign Universe was just a title that I liked to, I don't know, to show the way the world is. It's like a kind of a dark world, but people are savages. People, I just felt like the Ravage Reign Universe felt more powerful than just calling it like, I don't know, the Deviant World or something. It was like, I just wanted to come out with something different and unique and stood out. And we call it the R&R universe. So yeah, that's kind of how it began. Then the films came after that and the comics, and it's just been growing and still growing.
Do any of your other films go in like will Rust or Billy or Telephobia, do any of these go into that universe? That I know they're all kind of connected.
Yeah, they are. They in some way at one point or another do cross paths. What a lot of people don't know is that I've created another universe. It's a dark universe, and I called it the Dark World.
Another one,
the Dark World, and it's all my horror films are connected. That's where you're going to see the connection between Rust, Telephobia, Billy, My Little Nightmare. So if there's two universes, there's two universes. Is that a word? I don't know if that's a word, but two universes that are happening parallel to each other, but at one point they do cross. I know in Resurgence, you see a lot of the crossover. You have to really pay attention and look to see where it happens, but they do mention Meredith from Telephobia and Travis from Rust.
See, you do that really well. I suck at it because I try. Well, I had Axis 1, Axis 2. Then in Meat Hook 4, there's the coffee mug for the storage facility sitting on the table at the house while they're like partying and getting high.
Oh,
but
wow. Okay.
Then and then when Mindy goes outside and talks to her dad, he's like, "Oh, I found a storage facility for you." But then when I rewatched it, I went, well, wait, the dad mentions the storage unit. She doesn't act like she knows what it means, but yet there's a coffee mug on the table. Why wouldn't she just look at the coffee mug and be like, oh, I could store right here. I'll just call them. Yeah. And then I put a poster for Aximus in Meat Hook 4, and I'm like, I suck at this. I just suck. I'll just leave it to the professionals. I'll leave it to Joe. I'll let him do it.
It wasn't supposed to happen. I'll tell you that. It wasn't a plan. Just when I was doing the VFX and I was doing all certain things when it comes to this new sequence, I'm like, what do I write? What do I put? do I just write random shit across the banner and then people just be like, well, I wonder what he's talking about. Then I thought, I'm like, well, no, like this, you know, the trial for the murders of telephobia can be going on at the same time somewhere else. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how Travis is still on the run and they never caught him, which is the story of Rust 3. So it's kind of like using what I was doing with the other films and like winging it, and then it just connected. Somehow it connected.
Have people ever gotten confused? Like if you have one actor in multiple films?
No, I think not really confused, just pissed off.
Well, but if they're alternate timeline type things.
Not really, actually. No.
No.
And I think what helps a lot too has to do a lot with the fact that I make sure their looks change for each project. You know, like, so like example, Corey Taylor's wearing a wig and she's a blonde in Rust, but then in the Telephobia, she's a brunette with long brunette hair. And in the Immortal War, she's a robot. So, so it's like those who are really paying attention or those who just want to give me shit will probably bring it up. But not really, no.
Well, one I do want to ask about is, so with the second Immortal Wars with Resurgence, when I was watching it, I noticed that Nicholas Grant is sitting in a bar and he's watching the games and he's kind of laughing, ha ha ha, you know, when people are getting killed, and, you know, he's laughing at people around him. But he has a name. His name is Sammy. And I'm like, okay, if he has a name and he's not just man at bar, Sammy must mean something. So when I watched Rebirth, he's in that, and his name is Sammy. Yeah. Is he the same character?
Yeah. He is the same character. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now the scenes in Rebirth, spoiler for those who have not seen Rebirth, the scenes that Sammy is in are all flashback scenes. Oh. So it's way before the Immortal Wars. Remember, Immortal Wars and Rebirth are happening at the same time, but there's a a lot of flashback scenes. So
there are. Yeah. I don't want to give too much away of Rebirth. So, yeah, because I want people to see that.
But there's some stuff that I connected with Resurgence. So in Resurgence, the character of Triclops is being haunted by her past, which is her younger self.
Right.
Which is played by my niece, Destiny. She's the lead of Rebirth. And you will see, even in part 1, there's a scene also where, once again, Triclops is being haunted by her past, and she's seeing a vision of when she's playing with the Barbie. And she, you know, they tell her, you know, why can't you play like normal kids? You hear the mom's voice. Well, in Rebirth, you see exactly what happens before that scene, and after that scene, you see the mom. So I'm kind of just giving little hints of the past in part 1 and 2, but in Rebirth, you see exactly what happens. Yeah.
So for now, I've seen the film, but for people who haven't, is Rebirth a prequel?
I want to say it's a prequel sequel.
Okay.
If that kind of makes sense. It's the buildup for the final Immortal Wars, which is Redemption.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that will be that's part 4.
That'll be part 5.
5. Because
Decay's Paradox is part
4. Okay.
Yeah. But in the timeline, Decay's Paradox is happening way before part 1. I mean,
got to get out that timeline.
I'm doing it with the Immortal Wars.
So at any point will for people out there who don't know, you have a slasher series called Rust, and there's The Killer is Travis, or you have you've made 2 films now for Billy, which is like a haunted doll. Will they at some point in like Immortal Wars, or will somebody in Immortal Wars make a guest appearance? Not just be in the same world, but just actually show up.
This is another spoiler. You might see Billy in Obscura. You never know.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Just throwing it out there.
You never know.
You never know.
Okay.
I don't know. I do know that I have an anthology that I've been working on. where Travis and Meredith do meet. So that does happen. Yeah.
And Meredith is
Still
in
working.
which series?
Meredith is the killer in Atelophobia.
And so there's two of those.
There's two Atelophobias, yeah.
And then we got 3 Rust films, 2 Billy, and soon to be
2 short. Well, I should say 3, which just came out today, or this past weekend. 3 short Billy films, and then now I'm working on the Billy feature film.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Which will be a remake, or will it just continue what you've already done?
It's going to continue with what we've done. Wherever the last, the first Billy short film, that's going to be like the main focal point. The other 2 are just side stories of the character Billy, which is The Arrival and Ungodly Hour, which is part of that United States of Horror, Chapter 1. So that is in its own anthology. But yeah, it's going to continue and do a little bit more backstory on what happened and how the doll was created. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it almost seems like if these were brought out through something, you would almost have to add that timeline card into the DVD. So when people are watching the movies, you could be like, okay, well, I've just watched this one. Now I need to move to this one. And, and kind of.
I've been working on something for that. Because at one point, really soon, I do want to release the entire Rabbit Drain universe, like in a box set type thing. And within that, the timeline will be, I don't know where, like I said, I'm still designing it, but there's been talks that we might do it like on the back of the box, the actual timeline, so people can connect it.
Sure.
Something like that we've been thinking of. Still up in the air, but yeah, just so people can continue, because I have been asked, which ones are actual films, which ones are a series, or which ones are books. So I kind of, to help people understand more of what's in my head, because it's everywhere. I'm gonna spell it out for everyone to like understand where everything fits.
Yeah, that would make sense, and it's a good idea. So yeah. So it's. Yeah, I mean, I've as people know, I've worked on some of these, and so I'm asking questions I already know, but people watching may not. So if somebody does go, but John, weren't you working on that? It's just like, yes, I do know, but you may not. So now with Resurgence, so let's hop into that. You're done with Immortal Wars. It ends on a cliffhanger. Yeah. How did you come up with this?
So the script was already done. The script for the 3 initial films were already written before I started production on part 1.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, so I already knew that what was going to happen next, as well as the cast, for majority of them already knew, like, you guys are going to be returning for the next one, next 2, if it's going to happen. So I already knew what was going to happen. As far as production, we jumped straight into production on the sequel. I want to say that part 2 came out on DVD in like a July. I think it was July 4th, actually. And then we started production on part 2 in September, maybe, I want to say. Maybe October. No, it had to have been September, October. We started production on the sequel. Didn't want to waste any time. Wanted to move straight into it. And yeah, I mean, it happened very fast. The second one happened faster, a lot faster than the first one.
Well, and the second one is much bigger in not just time wise, but scope. The first one is the first Immortal Wars came out in 2017. It's 1 hour and 32 minutes. Resurgence. That one came out 2019 and is 1 hour, 52 minutes and 18 seconds.
Yeah.
So when you're writing it and everything, were you thinking at all like, oh, wow, this is like 30 minutes longer than the first one, I need to cut this? Or was it like, nope, that's the story I'm telling?
Yeah, I think it was more just like, this is what we're going to do and we'll make it work. I wanted to, when I came into the sequel, I wanted to make sure I did a little bit more story. And on top of that, introduced more characters. I want to say in part 1, there was like a total of maybe 10, 15 characters. And part 2, I don't know, there was probably like 50, 60 characters.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot that I wanted to tell and introduce. Because at this point, when we were in production with the Resurgence, there was already 2 books out, I believe. Or the second book was about to come out. So I wanted to bring those characters to life, just kind of show more of the universe, the characters, their powers, their abilities. And yeah, I was like, we're going to do it. We'll whatever it comes out to be, we'll do it. There were a few scenes, it would have been longer, but I ended up cutting a few scenes that are actually now going to just be I'll stop myself there because I was about to say something I'm not supposed to say. But yeah, it would have been longer, but we deleted scenes for certain reasons, and it ended up being that route. Our thing was like, just don't go over the 2-hour mark. Don't go over.
Okay.
It had also racked up a fan base for like the most part. There was a cool little fan base for the first one, so people wanted to see more. I don't think I would have done it if it was the first one. I would have stayed away from going that long of a film if it was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because 1 hour and 32 minutes is very tight. So going into it with 1 hour and 52, that's so you got to have that story in there to hook everybody in and make sure that they stay to the end, because that's exactly, a length.
Yeah. For the sequel ended up being really big. I mean, I'm not saying it was no fucking Marvel's Avengers, but for me, this little guy who's just doing his own little comic book movie, I thought it was a huge jump from the first one. I think it was a lot more explosive, and like I said, talking about all the characters and the story, the locations, all that was just like a big jump from the first one.
Well, and you got Eric Roberts back.
Yeah, he came back. Bill Oberst came back. He came back for the sequel. And then Mindy Robinson also comes out in the third one. A second one, sorry, not the third one. We were trying to bring in other people. There's a specific role in the film for a character called Kalura. And I was trying, we were in talks with a few people. We had sent them the script. Things just didn't work out. Some of them did like the script. They did read it. Some, it wasn't with scheduling. Some, it wasn't within budget. So we didn't end up getting a key actor for that role because it was such a big role that we needed, that I wanted to bring someone in for that. But the 3 were the ones who came in. And for the next one, hopefully.
Well, and so you're already, you got, I'll show people here. I mean, this is just the cover has a ton of characters on it. And then the back even has a ton of characters on it.
Yeah.
So you say that you wrote 3 scripts. And so how do you, like, what if an actor drops out, or what if an actor gets sick? Do you create a new character, or do you plop in a new? Okay, Resident Evil. I'll use that as my example. You and I are both big fans of Resident Evil. In one film, Claire will be there. In the next film, she won't be there, but then she'll be there 2 films later. Like, characters seem to come and go, and we don't know. Maybe it's the actor's schedule. Maybe they were sick. Maybe they're filming another, who knows? How do you really decide who's in each film? Especially
when we did the initial casting, that was something that I needed the actors to understand. We are doing 3. That's the plan, is to do 3. Coming in, we like we like your talent, we love your performance, but we need to be as positive and as sure as we can be as far as bringing you on for the next 3 installments. One thing with me, when I see a film and they change an actor during a franchise, it pisses me off.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I get it. Sometimes it's out of your control. You know, it's out of your control. They can't do that, you know, whatever the reason is. And I get it. But I had told myself, if I'm doing it, I want to make sure the actors are going to return. You know, I want to make sure that the same actors are going to be back and do it. We did run into that with the first one with an actor. We ended up bringing in like a body double, and we ended up just cutting all the dialogue to that character in the sequel. And then most recently, we lost the actress that plays Kalura. Her name's Hazel. She passed away this year.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was real rough. She was one of my close friends, and so we lost her, and she was going to be a bigger character in the third one. And I was asked by numerous people who already knew what the story was going to be. I was asked, like, you know, are you going to recast? And I'm not going to recast. Kalura is a character that I was very like personal and dear to me, that when we had cast Hazel for that role, it was just like, I felt like Hazel did a great job. And, you know, she had never done acting in her life, and it was just something that she just jumped into. And when we lost her this year, the first thing I thought was, Kalura will still be in the film, and we'll do a like an honor remembrance somehow in the film for that character. And then we obviously dedicated Rebirth. The entire film was dedicated to her. But I haven't really had to deal with an actor not coming back, which, I mean, it happens. But, I mean, I own the costumes, so I could just put anyone in those costumes. We'll still make the film. That won't stop us. Yeah.
You won't like it, but they'll just have like something over their face. You know, It's like, well, they're still there. They just wear a mask. So
yeah, because in the last Immortal Wars, that is going to be the end. At Redemption will be the final Immortal Wars. As of right now, because I always tend to say that this is the last one, and then I end up writing the script for the next one. But in this planned last final one, Redemption, after the Case Paradox, we are really working on getting every single character that's made an appearance in all the Immortal Wars, Immortal Legends, all the comic books, everything that has to do with the universe. We want everyone to make an appearance in the final chapter. So we'll see, you know, who will come back.
So does that mean no new characters then? Because you'll probably have so many.
A lot of new characters.
Oh, okay.
A lot of new characters. Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm going to put all 140 characters in my universe, because that's impossible. But you will see a lot of new characters in the next Immortal Wars, Decay's Paradox. And Rebirth, we did introduce a lot of new characters, which you will see some coming back for that. But in Redemption, I guess I should backtrack. So the scripts were written for all three, but for certain things, I ended up rewriting the script for the last one, the third installment, completely. I scrapped that entire script, and I went back to rewrite it. I just felt the story was going somewhere else, and with me rewriting it, I'm able to bring in a lot of characters, which we're going to end up casting, I want to say 70% new actors for the last Immortal Wars.
So I've told you that I think that Rebirth shows a lot of maturity in the films.
Mm-hmm.
From what you had originally written, is that something over a period of time you kind of look at the script and go, I'm just beyond this. I'm older now. I think differently. Let's change this.
So the script for Rebirth and Decay's Paradox were never planned. Those scripts just came to me. Rebirth I wrote on a vacation, and Decay's Paradox I wrote when I was sick. So it was like it was out of nowhere. The original third script, which is Redemption, that completely is, I just felt, I felt it wasn't going to work. The route that I wanted to go, that had to include like gods, Egyptian gods and stuff like that. when I was thinking about it, I thought, oh, that's gonna be cool. But then when it was written, I was reading it, the Egyptian gods with these deviants and how this corporation's running. I'm like, it doesn't fit. It doesn't work. So then I decided we're scrapping that, and I went a different route with this last script. And I think it's going to end up leading up everything up to the set of books is what it does. So you do see an ending, but there's something that happens that leads to the books.
And you had, I think it's in Resurgence, you show some Egyptian.
Yeah, like we show, was it Egypt? Oh, I think it was part one. Part one we showed, which is Age of the Feathers, the episode Age of the Feathers from Immortal Legends. We show Set and Nyx Morrow's fighting. They're the brothers. She's the reigning like victor of the first Immortal Wars. And they do come back at the end of Resurgence. They have a bigger role in Redemption, which is the last chapter.
Yeah, I think I remember, like, they're in I want to say like a tent, and you could see like a Sphinx, and you could see a couple other things that are just kind of like the camera goes by.
That's Immortal Legends. Yeah,
that's Legends. Okay.
Yeah. So the fight originally begins indoors in a pyramid, and then their fight ends up, they break through the pyramid, and it ends up being outside, which is what you see in the first Immortal Wars when they're fighting in the desert and the pyramids are all around them. That's part one. Yeah. And then they come back at the end of Resurgence when Decay's resurrected. They come back to stop Decay and her sister Amara from wreaking havoc on the earth. That's basically what they're doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was pre-production on this like, since this is a much bigger and broader, I'm guessing more expensive film?
Yeah. Pre-production was, there was a lot of work that went into pre-production for the sequel. We ended up bringing on a company in Vegas called Quantum Arc Media. My DP, Dustin Robinson, who's fucking phenomenal at what he does, he came on, and we got the entire Quantum Arc crew, and they helped us bring everything together when it came to production, pre-production. My AD, Ashley, she did a great job. Yeah, pre-production, I want to say, I may be wrong, it's been such a long time, but I want to say pre-production was probably 2 months of pre-production, maybe 2 months. There was more pre-production than actual production, let's say that. Like, yeah, double the time of what production was. It was pre-production. Yeah.
How free were you with things, with having to do something this big? Like, were you like, this is the script, this is what we're doing, I'm storyboarding, we're sticking with the shot list, we're doing this? Or were you a little more open to it now that you had made the first film?
Yeah, no, I was pretty open with it. I was pretty I don't remember. I was pretty open with it. I did have, obviously, this has to happen, this, because I know the universe, I know the characters, when we ran into an issue with one of the actors, they were like, we'll just cut the character, let's kill him off. I'm like, I can't, because he's in the comic books, he can't die in this film. So, you know what I mean? I had to be a little bit more stern when it came to details like that. But aside from that, I did always listen to everyone's opinions and their feedback, or what their thoughts were on shots or different things like that. Specifically with my AD and my DP, we worked very close as far as putting it together. But I was pretty open, even with the actors, if they wanted to change certain things, as long as it didn't change the physics, like the actual main story or the character or anything like that, I was totally open to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're pretty open. I mean, I've raised my hand and gone suggestion and stuff. So you are very open to listening to what other people say, and which is great. I think
it's important, even filmmaking wise. Like, you want to grow a relationship with those you work with, so you have to, it's out of respect, listen to everyone. You don't have to do everything everyone says.
Sure, right.
I just think you listen, you acknowledge it, and then you can decide if you're going to do it or not. I think it's more of a respect thing. That's how I see it, at least. That's how I see it.
Yeah, because you never know. Somebody doing craft services might have a great idea. Yeah, I
mean, you never know, literally.
Yeah, it's never a bad thing to hear somebody, no. It's but I know some people are really stern with that type of thing. So
No, not me.
No, you are very easy to work with. That is for sure. So now kind of going into like the production of it, I wrote down a couple things here, like the fight scenes. There's a lot more fight scenes. They're bigger. I'm not seeing cables, wires. How were these fight scenes done? Especially like the one out in the desert. That was huge.
That was rough. That was very, very tough to shoot. No, we didn't have any rigs or wiring. It was just well choreographed. Our guys came in to teach everyone their fights. Everyone was rehearsing it during pre-production too. So when we were on set, everyone knew their fight. It was just more of knowing your placement is basically what we did, our blocking. When it came to the desert scene, I want to say that was 2 days of production. That was rough. It was a bit of a hike to where we were going. Cars couldn't go up there. And then the heat. I know there was some actors that their costumes were leather, black leather, and it was scorching outside.
But you also had a couple guys without shirts. Like they had pieces, but it's like, yeah, the black leather must be horrible. But then they're out there just with bare skin.
They're toasting. Oh yeah, it was rough. It was rough. Even aside from that, shooting was also like, we were able to shoot everything, but then when it got to editing, it got a little bit tricky because everyone's fighting in the background, but then we've already showed that part of the fight. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's like where their fights were timed differently. So when we were shooting, we had to piece it together where everything matched. So that was one of the biggest challenges when it came to that fight scene. I mean, yeah, as far as all the other fight scenes, I'm trying to think of all the fight scenes. Sorry, I've done like so many other fight scenes since then. I want to say the fight scenes, that was the biggest one. We had the scene where they were fighting like the gene humans, like those I don't like to say this, but like those zombie characters in the story.
Oh yeah,
like the failed experiments. That was fun. That was a very like fast day. I mean, we shot so much that day, so the actors were a bit tired towards the end of the day. I think we didn't wrap till like 3-4 in the morning, and we were there since like 8 a.m. Filming. So, but no, everything was just choreographed very well. Obviously, Jackie knows her thing. That is her thing, fighting, choreo. Like she knew what she was doing. So I didn't doubt that she would be able to do anything. She was phenomenal. But everyone else was just into it. And that I want to go say that when it comes to the actors, like that's what makes me like appreciate them even more. They were on set. They knew exactly what they were doing. They were in it 100%. And that's what made the film come together a lot more efficiently. There was no divas. There was no ego on set. Everyone was professional, and it helped the process of everything we were doing on set.
So with to go back to that desert fight for a second, how many days do you think that was?
That was 2 days. That was 2 days.
Okay.
Filming. Yeah. That was 2 days of filming. Yeah, that was 2 days. I want to say it was in October actually when we shot that. So it was still hot,
Vegas, but a little cooler than
Yeah.
So with the people who, now this could go for any fight scene, but for people who aren't trained in martial arts or fighting or whatever, what was that an issue at all?
Not when we were on set, no, because we had everyone rehearsing their fights before and during pre-production. So they were going to parks, they were going with the fight coordinator, they were being taught exactly what they had to do. So as far as challenges, that was taken care of during that time. Just because when we were on set, we were like not going to have time for that. So when we got on set, everyone knew what they were doing, and it played out very well, actually.
Was that at all a concern for you? Like you get an actor who you like, but they kind of, and you're like, oh no.
Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. I think it was more just my biggest concern was because when I wrote the script, I wrote it with fighting and moments where dialogue was exchanged, and then they're back to fighting, and then dialogue, and then fighting. So my thing was getting the actors to learn their fights I was like, okay, well, we also have to make the breaks of when we can get the dialogue. When they'll stop, there's a pause and whatever's happening, and then the fight continues. That was my biggest concern. As far as people learning their fights, I wasn't really concerned. That's why we made sure that all the pre-production, we focused on them as far as their moves and the whatever technique they were going to end up doing. I wasn't there for a lot of the days as far as choreo and pre-production rehearsals. I was there mainly like the beginning and at the end when they already knew everything. So I don't know if it was a challenge for them, but I never saw it. Yeah.
Was it a challenge for you to act and direct at the same time, especially with the fight scenes? You got a little Joe right there. Little Joe.
Yeah. So I played the character of Lash in Resurgence. No, I've kind of, no one knows this, but I do a lot of like when I'm writing, I'm acting out my scripts. So I'll be here in the office, writing the Immortal Wars 3, and I'm writing whatever Tricalypse is doing, and I am standing up, acting out the scene, and I'm like, yeah, that's what she's gonna do, and she's gonna turn left here, and we're gonna, that's how I kind of write my script. So when it came to acting, I wasn't worried about it. It was fun, but I will say, during the desert fight scene, we had shot everyone's stuff, everyone's coverage except for mine. And it's like everyone was like, okay, well, you've been watching us and directing us this whole time. So everyone sat down like in a horseshoe and just right behind camera, all the actors, all the crew, and they're watching me. And I got so nervous. I was like sweating and shaking, and I started like fumbling all my lines. Like it was really messing me up. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like you're to direct these actors, but yourself, you're messing up. So that was the only thing. Other than that, I mean, it was just, I was still able to, I had my AD, like I said, she was phenomenal. So she had my back when it came to me on camera. She helped, with running things with me, obviously, because I had to be in front of the camera this time. But I will be back for the next one. Spoiler.
Oh, that is a spoiler. Oh. So.
Yeah.
Well, so now I'm not going to say who, but obviously in each film, characters die. And with the type of films that these are, can characters come back?
Yes, which is why it's called Immortal Wars. So they die and they're immortal, so they can come back. So I know people have given me shit of like, oh my God, they die and they come back, they die and they come back. I'm like, well, that's fuck it is. They're immortal. Okay, so they can come back. And if I want them to come back, they'll come back. It was just like they can die and come back. Obviously there is limits, like in Resurgence, the character Sybil, she explains how she can bring people back only one time. She can't do it a second time.
Right. Yeah.
But there are more characters in the universe that can bring people back. So I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay. And then at the end of part 2 of Resurgence, is that where, because they're all doing I guess there's no spoilers. That's, this isn't the exact end, but it's near, this is because they're out in the desert there. So that's by the end of the fight scene, but they're in a stance that's similar to this. So it ends on a huge cliffhanger. Is that where part 4 would take over?
That's where part 5 will pick up, the last.
Or part 5. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's where that will pick up. That is the Vanquishers. So the comic book that you see, the Vanquishers, that is them. So that was the big reveal of when now the humans and public is calling them the Vanquishers.
So that's these guys.
Yeah, and the next one, there you go. Yeah. So that's all that whole team right there in that comic book. That's who they are when they're doing that stance. That's when that group is assembled.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
And there is a now
and
for
that's
people
where the next one will pick up.
Okay, good. I like that. I don't like when movies don't do that. You know, Resident Evil was pretty good at that type of stuff, and I liked that. I don't like when they,
Yeah,
you know.
that's what inspired me. Those are the movies that got me going.
And yeah, it's kind of lost my thought here for a second. Oh, so for people who, when they do watch Resurgence, stay there. It's a little bit through. It's not a mid-credit sequence, but it is after like the main cast and crew. There is a decay, like mid-credit scene in this.
Yeah.
So what is that all about?
Yeah. So that is the scene where it's another story. It's a story that's a plot that is coming in the last Immortal Wars. That's the intro to that. So it ends with Decay Amara, who Amara is makes an appearance in Rebirth. How do I explain this? Okay, let's go back a little. So Amara is what we call an ancient deviant. That is a deviant that travels through time and she does not age. Oh. That she is the reason Tricalypse, she is the reason Tricalypse killed her parents. Let's say that. Now, Amara has found out that Decay has died, obviously in Resurgence, for those who have seen it. And she brings her back. She goes to the underworld and resurrects her. But this time, Decay, if you notice, her eyes are red instead of the blue-gray color that she's had for the first two installments.
Right.
Her eyes are red because she's come back even more evil, which they're getting ready to wreak havoc on Earth. But they're stopped by Set and Nyxmoros, who are gods. They are stopped by them, and that big fight is what is also going to happen in Redemption. You see what happens in that fight. It's pretty intense with what happens now.
Okay. Have you thought of doing a separate film with the gods, like have their own series?
So there was a concept treatment that I did put together for another Immortal Wars. And this was going to focus more before the first Immortal Wars to see that fight between Nyxmoros and Set. And in that, I wanted to highlight the whole god element, kind of like where they came from and, and what their abilities are, all that. I just never moved on it. And it just sat there. Maybe, I don't know. It's possible. Like I said, I may be saying that Redemption's going to be the 5th and final installment of the franchise, but then one day just be like, you know what, let's do another one. But I don't know. I'm obsessed with Egyptian history, the culture, everything Egyptian. I love. That's why I made those characters like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I love Egyptian stuff myself, and you had recommended a film to me, The Immortal, I think it's called.
Immortal?
Is that it? I think you had a duplicate copy of it and you gave it to me, and it was all kind of Egyptian-y. Had like it's got like flying pyramids on the cover.
Oh yeah. There you go. Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow, that's old school.
Yeah.
That was a cool movie. People thought it was weird, but I liked it.
Yeah, I have not watched it yet. I have to be honest, but I definitely have an interest in seeing it because I think it looks cool and I love the Egyptian stuff. So, I think it's the best part of like Tom Cruise's The Mummy is that stuff.
Right? Yeah, no, everything of Egyptian I like. I mean, I still have all the props and set things like items, the walls, all that from when we shot the Egyptian stuff from the Immortal Wars. So, I mean, it's possible. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe. Don't tempt me, John. Don't tempt me.
I want to see it now. I want to see it. So how do you find these locations? Like there's a cave, a big cave. We're in Las Vegas. I'm guessing desert is kind of easy, or do you look for certain things in a desert? Like, how do you find these there's where they're running all through, like people are escaping at one point, and they're running through like the laser tag place. How do you find these places? Like, do you go out and scout a lot of them? Do they just kind of come across?
No, yeah, we do scout a lot of them. I want to say also I use a lot of like connections from other projects that I've done. So like a few of those scenes we shot in an escape room. So, you know, we used their set and rented out the space for the whatever time we needed. The desert, I didn't want to just go to a desert. I wanted it to be more sand dune. I wanted it to be like not really any trees or bushes, just be completely sand. When I had originally wrote the script, I wanted to shoot in White Sands, New Mexico, the missile range, just because I've been there as a kid. My parents would always take us out there, so I thought it was beautiful. Cinematically, it would have looked great, but obviously we can't do that with the budget. So I just wanted sand dunes. The caves, originally in the script, it wasn't supposed to be cave. It was supposed to be like an underground town, almost very what is that movie with Sandra Bullock and is it Sylvester Stallone? Can't think of it right now. With
like Demolition Man.
Are you there? That was weird.
Yeah, it's done this a few times. It's still recording, so it might divide it into two, but I don't know if it's the internet or if it's Zoom or what, but you know.
Do you wanna restart it to make sure it's recording, or?
No, it still says recording, so we're good. So yeah, it's happened a couple times. So yeah, you mentioned Sandra Bullock, Sylvester Stallone, Demolition Man.
Yeah, so Demolition Man. There's like there's a scene where they're like going to like these towns. There's like a lot of huts and stuff like that. I don't remember what scene it is, but like where in the film it happens. But that's kind of what I was going for when I wrote the script. I've always been in love with that film, so I wanted to go with like just people living in like underground. There's like tents everywhere, and there's, you know, little bonfires and stuff. Well, we didn't have that, so the alternate was let's go to a cave. Now, all the stuff that you guys saw in Resurgence, as far as like outside the cave, when you saw the actual cave, which obviously shot on location there at the cave, anything that you saw inside the tents, that was shot in a studio. We didn't shoot that on the same day. Yeah.
Okay. So that's, and then you also use, you like to use, which I like because I would do the same exact thing, is you have like the same locations in a few different movies. So like you use a particular haunt in Rust, and then also will show up in the Immortal Wars. Yeah. But which I like.
Very close friends of mine own some haunted houses in Vegas, Las Vegas haunts, which if you guys have not done, they're really good haunts. Now what I love is, so the owner, Rich, he built the sets himself, and he focuses on details. I mean, from the texture of the walls to the texture of the furniture and making everything look aged or distressed, which technically is what we will do on film. If we want that look, we would have to do that. Just this time it's in our hands. It's there for me to use. So so with the Resurgence, we used a lot of their haunted house of Asylum, where it's more facility-like, underground facility-like. It's supposed to be an abandoned facility that's running underground things, experiments and all. So I figured it fits perfectly. It does not have to be a clean, very perfect facility. It's run down, it's aged. So it fit perfectly with the haunt, for sure. I mean, it was like I had to shoot it. I also used the place. I don't know what it's called anymore. At one point it was called ACO, Adventure Combat Ops, and then it changed to Zombie Apocalypse something. I don't remember. I don't even know if they're open anymore, but that's where we shot. They have like basically like a neighborhood of houses. I want to say it's like 9 houses. They have streets. They have cars that are flipped over. It's an immersive zombie experience. That's the business, but we would rent out that place to get the whole apocalyptic feel as far as the set goes. So in Resurgence, when you see the deviants walking the streets and these gene humans are attacking and they're killing, and there's this big electricity wave that hits these deviants, that's all there at that location.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you said that you get these locations through just like connections and friends, and
yeah,
they just let you come in and film.
And using the, like I said, other projects I've worked on, my personal projects, or if I get hired to do something, if Carcass Studios gets hired to do something, you build a relationship so you can utilize your locations, which I recommend for any filmmaker who does that. Then you can utilize them for when you need them, when you truly need them, because without the locations we shot, I don't think the Immortal Wars Resurgence would have been done. The locations were just too out there to get done with a small budget that we had.
Well, and now speaking of budget, so if the first Immortal Wars does well, does that bump your budget up now? How do you determine the budget for the sequel?
It did. Yeah, it did. With the success of the first one and how people were taking it, the budget did go up for the second one. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and say it tripled or anything like that. But it did. It got a little bit higher, and we were able to do a little bit more, bring in a little bit more as far as actors and crew. But yeah, it did. We were able to do what we did with the Immortal Wars Resurgence for, I won't say specifics, but for a lot cheaper than what people probably think we spent on making that movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So then, all right. So then what was post-production like on it?
So post-production was about, I'm trying to think. Okay, well, with production, we shot the film in 16 days.
16? Okay.
I'll say that. We shot the entire film in 16 days. Sorry, my dog is like not having it right now. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we shot the film in 16 days. We had originally said like 20, but then we were like telling the crew, and if we get it a lot quicker, there might be like a pay bump for them. So everyone moved their asses, and we got the movie done in 16 days. For post-production, I will say that probably took me about a year and 4 months to edit. Yeah, that was a long process as far as editing. I will say that when it came to that film burnt me out as far as editing goes. I worked on it day and night for that year and some, and I grew to hate being in the office. I grew to hate looking at the computer screen. It was like, yeah, it was painful. But yeah, I think it came out. I think also what took a lot of time was all the VFX. So with
I was going to say, yeah, there's a ton of them. Yeah.
Yeah, it got very, very crazy with the VFX. And I brought in another gentleman. He came in and did a few things here and there as far as VFX, like maybe 2 or 3 shots of VFX. But I want to say that in the film, there was over like 250 shots of VFX.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. I'm trying to think.
Well, one that I saw,
I want to say that the year in like 4 months.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I would not doubt that, because like one of the visual effects that I kind of was looking at is there's a scene with Eric Roberts sitting, and he has he's at a computer, and it looks like it's the back part of the monitor, and then it's the visual effect of the screen, and there's like little dials going and blinking lights, but it's at an angle. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, that must have taken some time, because it's just not like a straightforward shot. It's at an angle. We're looking actually at it backwards. So you had a ton of that type of stuff in there.
Yeah, that I want to say that was probably the biggest or I should say the most of the VFX was stuff like that. All the HUDs, the screens, and not necessarily just that. It was more like you said, everything was angled. Things were a lot of rotoscoping and taking things out and cropping each frame of that shot because there was movement. That was a bit of a challenge. But I think that's what kind of pulled the story together. That's what makes that, the way I see it, at least. I'm a fan of that. When it comes to like sci-fi movies, when you see a lot of that, it pulls you into that sci-fi world, you know?
Yeah.
So I hated doing it, but I was like, it's for the film, you can do it.
That's right. It's for art. It is for my art. I must do it.
I was sure for the next installments not to write so much of that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is there, because there was so much of it, was it just like, okay, that's it? No, no more. I'm cutting like 50% of this stuff out, and we'll just show the back of a screen and just, like a real screen, and just not do this visual effect anymore.
I'll admit that I did think like that a few times. I did think that, but I was like, if I'm not going to do 100% on this project, and I'm not going to do 100% to finish it, then I should just go to my living room, sit down, and not do it at all,
Oh, okay.
And that's what kind of kept me going. During the editing of the Immortal Wars, not many know this, during the editing of the Immortal Wars 2, I got very sick during post-production. Sick to where I was like on the ground, like passed out, sick.
Oh, wow.
At that point, I lived by myself, so it was a very scary time. But I was still fighting it, and I was still editing, getting it done while I was still sick. And seeing the finished product is more like it was all worth it, like I just felt like I knew you could do it. It was like a sense of like accomplishment within myself, it was just a big project. Comparing it to part 1, part 2 was huge in my mind, that I at the beginning did doubt myself a little bit, where I was like, can I really do this? Can I really do a project at this scale? And I did. Yeah, and I'm very proud of it. Yeah.
So out of the two, which one do you prefer? Or is it
I prefer part 2.
Okay.
I do prefer part 2. Believe it or not, a lot of people prefer part 1. And I'll say, because I do a lot of conventions, Comic-Cons, stuff like that, book signings, and the fans talk to me. I like to hear what they say. I like to hear their feedback. A lot of them like the element of the combat, the fighting, the verses, that very video game type of setting. And we didn't do that in the second one. I went more the route of like Mad Max, Resident Evil type of feel, instead of that Mortal Kombat, Hunger Games feel that I focused on when it came to the Immortal Wars. So obviously I listened, and I've taken that into acknowledgement, and now I'm incorporating that in the next script. Well, the next film, because the script's done. But yeah.
Okay. And when it comes to actors, since we're out here in Vegas, do you primarily focus just on like Vegas actors, or can they come from anywhere?
So the first 2 I did. That was one thing with the executive producer. We wanted to like kind of help give more of the actors here in Vegas locally that opportunity to be a part of something of this scale that we were doing. So yes, with the first 2, yes. But as far as the next installments that I've self-produced, no, I kind of left it more open, and give everyone a chance to be involved with what we're doing, and give everyone a fair chance across the board as far as a chance to be a part of the film.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Yeah.
So as each film you go, you make it a little bit larger for people from all over to come out and be in these.
Yeah. For Rebirth, we shot, I want to say 60% in Vegas, and then the rest we shot in El Paso, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't hide that either. You got that subtitle up there that says where it is. You're not trying to make it look like it's Vegas or something like that.
My thing, I'm from El Paso, and I love El Paso, so it's kind of like any chance I could get to take work out there, film wise, I'm definitely going to push for it and aim for that. So, yeah.
And then, when the film is done, it was also released by ITN, just like the first one. And so will Rebirth and the other ones also be ITN?
As far as right now, Rebirth was signed to ITN. Yeah,
okay,
they're
good.
distributing the next installment. Yeah, part 4, Decay's Paradox, that's still in production. So we're still we haven't hit of where like that stage of where we're gonna go with distribution. But as far as the first 3, that'll be through ITN. Yeah.
Have you decided if Decay's Paradox is going to be a film or if it's like more like a web series?
So originally, both Rebirth and Decay's Paradox were going to be web series. That's what Rebirth was originally called, Olive, which was supposed to be the prequel spin-off to the character Triclops, the lead of the first 2 Immortal Wars, as well as Decay's Paradox, also her spin-off prequel to the main villain of the Immortal Wars, the first 2 Immortal Wars. But I had cut Immortal Wars Rebirth like 3-4 different times, and after watching it, it was just more like, this works more like a feature film. Like if you sit down and you watch it, it worked. Obviously, it worked both ways as a TV series or as a film, but watching it as a whole together, I had put everything together. I was like, I actually like it as a feature film, and I think it'll work. And then on the business side, it was also like, you could get a better deal if you do a feature film than a TV series.
Oh yeah, true.
There's more platforms for distribution. There's more opportunities for the film to get further out there to the viewers. So I decided to do that as a feature film. And while we've been shooting Decay's Paradox, I've hit that point where I'm like, you know what? Yeah, this has to be a feature film. Originally it was just solely called Decay's Paradox, as well as Rebirth. It was solely just supposed to be called Olive, but I wanted to make sure that people understood that this is part of the Immortal Wars. This is still the same universe. So I ended up saying, hey, it's the Immortal Wars Rebirth. It's the Immortal Wars Decay's Paradox. This is the 3rd and 4th installment of the franchise. And both films will lead up to the final big finale, and that will be the Immortal Wars Redemption.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have discussed many times, and I'm on board with the script that I wrote for the Origins of Dr. Cal. So
yeah.
Or Kale. Actually, I'm Dr. Kale.
Will definitely be back in Redemption.
I think he deserves his own origin story myself. So
the Immortal Wars,
my 2-page script for him, So how has, between the 2 films, between the first Immortal Wars and the second, what were people's like general reaction? I mean, you talked briefly about it, like how some people like the first one better and all that type of stuff. What have people said? Like what have people come up and been like, oh dude, this is awesome, you got to do more? Or does that kind of help you go like, okay, now I'm going to do this film for the Immortal Wars, and I'm going to do this film? Because when I saw it, I don't think I saw Immortal Wars I did see Immortal Wars, but I don't think I knew you at the time.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, when it came to the Immortal Wars, I was getting a lot of the fans were talking a lot about specific characters. Obviously it was split evenly, half and half. Some like part 1, some like part 2. Some didn't like it at all. But
can't please everybody.
But what I got a lot of was, like I said, questions about specific characters. I was asked, are we going to see more of Rain? Rain's always been a character that people have wanted to see more of. And then Decay, sorry, my dog's like whimpering. Decay was a fan favorite from part 1. People just love Decay. So that's what led me to, let's do a Decay's Paradox. Let's move on to her story. And then, that's when that started.
I like DK is one of my favorite characters. That's Lindsay Cruz, and she does a
Lindsay
good
Cruz did a
job.
phenomenal
So
job with Decay. I don't
yeah,
think I could see anyone else playing Decay.
no, uh-uh.
No. That's why I was like, we have to do Decay's Paradox. And Paradox is actually Decay's brother, for those, like, obviously who they won't know, but we're revealing that it's her brother, and who's being played by Chris Ivan. And that origin story is probably going to be the darkest installment in the entire franchise. From the content in it, I'm really pushing the envelope with this one as far as like certain situations and dialogue. So I'm really excited for people to see that. It's more of a villain film than a super, I don't like to say that word, people with abilities type of film.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the cool thing with Rebirth. Obviously, it was a little more serious, not so. I'll just say it, not so superhero-esque. It was more serious. But like I said, I hear more about specific characters, and that's what kind of makes my mind start moving. Okay, well, let's just show a little bit more of this character in this installment. That's why Rain has come in a little bit bigger in Rebirth, because I was getting a lot of people wanting to see more of him, and not necessarily from the films, more from the comic books. You know, they see him in the Vanquishers and they're like, when can we see this character on screen? So that's what led me to be like, you know what, let's finally bring him out and show him on the live action film.
Okay. So well, then I have a question. Why Immortal Wars? Why not call it The Vanquishers?
So that was a decision that I ended up making. And I explained it to the execs with the first two, because I felt obviously I'm a fanatic of films. I don't know. I have this thing like with X-Men. If something has the title of X-Men, I'm gonna buy it no matter what. I love X-Men. But then when I hear like just Wolverine or the Wolverine, not that I'm down anyone. Don't give me shit, anyone who watches this. I'm still a fan. I'm just saying. I just felt like not as intrigued, when I saw the Wolverine. So when I hear the Vanquishers, it's cool on book. On the book cover, it looks badass. But then I was like thinking, have you seen the new Vanquishers movie, or have you seen the Immortal Wars? Like the Immortal Wars just sounded more powerful in a way. And with distribution, they agree. They were like, for sales purposes, the Immortal Wars is a lot stronger. I do know that in the UK, I think the UK did release it as the Vanquishers.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I believe they called it the Vanquishers in the UK, but the US, it was the Immortal Wars.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've told you this before, is I actually think these films, are better than some of the Marvel movies.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I'm at some point you're going to be directing one of those. I know it.
That is the goal. That is the goal. So
just don't forget about the little people.
No, you will come with me.
The little people.
I come as a package.
And now you mentioned that you've gone to conventions. What is it like for you at a convention when you're got your banner up and your movie's all out on the table? How does that feel? What goes on?
It's, at first, I've done so many now, but at first it was kind of nerve-wracking. I'm not really one to like talk. Like I'm very to myself. As far as talking, I'm very like, I don't like to talk really. I'm just very quiet. So it was real hard for me to be a little bit more like approachable when it came to conventions. But now I'll say, so when I was doing conventions at the beginning, I was doing it to promote the films. So obviously I have to talk, I have to pitch and let them know, like, this is what I'm doing. These are the movies, these are the books. And then I started to realize that there was a fan base growing with the Immortal Wars. And I was like people were bringing the comic books that they bought at stores. They were bringing the DVDs, and they were like asking me to sign them. They were asking me to like, make it out to their brother or their dad or whatnot. That started to get like at first it was a little like weird, you know, it was like, oh, this is kind of crazy to like, you know, it was weird to see that. And then I started getting a lot of filmmakers, like up and coming filmmakers, young kids. I mean, kids that I say kids, but maybe like 15, 16-year-olds that are like, I want to make movies like this. Like, you know, how do I do it and all that? So seeing that made me feel like, okay, get rid of the nerves. Like, this is your chance to like help encourage those kids to keep going on what they're doing. Because I never had that. Every time when I was trying to ask for help, people would laugh at me or people would just blow me off. So they never gave me the time of day. So when it comes to conventions, I use it more as a like sharing what I've done, sharing my story, and encouraging those who are wanting to do what I do. Most recently, though, in the last 2-3 years, I've done a lot of conventions more for press purposes, to market. So they'll book me for a convention, or the convention will bring me as a guest at the convention, obviously, to have a booth or a table. That's cool because it's kind of like seeing like how much all the hard work, all the tears, all the times where I was ready to quit or give up. When I'm asked to do these events, it's kind of like people actually appreciate what I've done. People actually like what I'm doing, that they want me there. So it's very humbling, and I don't know. I don't know. When I think of it, it's like I'm very blessed and thankful that people even give two shits about what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, they should. I mean, if they look at your IMDb, it's very impressive. I mean, there's, you know, some filmmakers can be out there and say, oh yes, I've made 200 movies and I made 25 films this year. Yeah, but they're kind of garbage. But when you look at, you know, what you've done with you know, Telephobia, with Immortal Wars, with Rust, and you're a friend of mine, so I mean, I could say this openly. I don't, you know, I'm not a fanboy, you know, even though I do have this collection, but it's like, I think people should look into these and you know, and be impressed. I got to be honest. I mean, it's because these aren't put together with $5. I mean, it's not like these were shot on your phone. You know, these are theatrical type films. And I think people should like them.
And I'll say,
you know,
when it comes to the Immortal Wars, it was kind of like my statement. Yeah, it was my statement to anyone who's a filmmaker or an artist. Like, don't put restrictions on yourself. Like, don't let. And I'll admit, at the beginning, I was guilty of it myself. For when I wrote the script, I'm like, there's no way in hell I can make a movie like this. Like, there's no way I can make a superhero film. There's no way I can make a film where people are fighting with powers and abilities. And like, that was the last thing I was thinking was even possible. But it was my way of like, even to show people, like, if you want to make something, don't give two shits about it. Do what you can, make it. Don't be scared. Don't let the fear like dictate basically your career. Like, you can't let that happen.
right.
And I just pushed forward and I did it. And it was just like I said, it was seeing that first Immortal Wars. And I think I've told this story before. I had worked on so many films before. You know, there was some film I went with the distribution company, never saw the DVDs. They didn't even tell me the movie was out. So I hadn't experienced it until I went into Walmart, and the Immortal Wars, that Immortal Wars you have right there, was sitting on shelves in the entertainment section. And it was right next to, I think it was like a Marvel, it was probably an Avengers movie or something. They're right next to each other. It was like that little boy within me was like, oh, fuck, like, you did it. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
I would always, every time I go to Walmart or Target or anything that has entertainment section, I go to see what they have. I've always, since I was a kid. So seeing it for myself was like a pinch me moment where I was like, you see, it was possible. You know, and it was like, to anyone who wants to do stuff like this, like, just do it. Don't let the fear or if you don't have the budget, okay, you don't have the budget, but still create it, use what you got to make it, you know. And that was kind of my thing when it came to the Immortal Wars. Like, It's always been a dream to do a Marvel film, to direct something for Marvel, or I should say Disney now, since Disney owns them. But
Sure.
it was like, it's always been a dream to do an X-Men movie or something where, sometimes it does feel like it's impossible, that it might never happen. So I was in that moment and I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to make my own Marvel. I'm going to make my own characters, my own universe. I'm going to make my own films and just do it without any thoughts of me not being able to do it. I don't know. I've always stuck that way.
Yeah. And it's, one of the things that I like is, and of course, you being the filmmaker, you would have a different experience than, let's say, someone like me is. I remember this being on Facebook, hey, Immortal Wars comes out today. And I'm just like, Immortal Wars. Oh, hey, he's from Vegas. That's this guy that I've seen on Facebook. And I went to Walmart and there was the stack. And of course, I had to find the perfect one because I love slipcovers. So I had to find one that was not damaged. But then when the second one came out and I already knew you, I'm just like, oh, fuck yeah. And like right after work, I just went and just grabbed it. Like I went to the closest Walmart to me and just picked it up, knowing that I know this guy. I know, this person who made this. And for me, that had a whole kind of different, feeling than, let's say, that the filmmaker has. Because then you get that picture on Facebook, where I'm where I and many other people are holding it. You take that picture with your phone that, just got back from Walmart. And people are like, what Walmart did you go to? And there's very few people that I've run out to grab like the next movie. And this is one of them.
Oh, wow. So, thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, sure. You're welcome. And it's, and just seeing that cover alone, I mean, how can you not pick it up with that cover?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm very, I like to be involved with everything. So the artwork, everything, I took those photos for the artwork, like the posters I do. So it was like I envision how the project's going to be when I'm writing it, all the way up until how it's going to look on shelves. That's, and I see through it from beginning to end, and I make sure it's as close to as perfect I can get it, because nothing's ever perfect, but as close as I can get it to,
Well, and you also, there isn't just this poster. I was looking today for stuff on this, and there's individual posters for each character. Yeah, there are a bunch.
Yeah, each character gets their own character poster. Yeah,
I thought those looked really cool. So
there's a new poster that's been out, actually, that was just released, I think, last week, for the Immortal Wars Resurgence. It's on Carcass Studios' website, and I'm really proud of that poster. It looks really good, just to give a little bit more, something more refreshing for people to see, to go out and watch it.
Well, now, speaking of refreshing, these are DVDs. Will we be getting Blu-ray anytime soon?
Yeah. I've been working on getting the Blu-rays of both films remastered. Those who have seen the first two on DVD, they look good, but Blu-ray, just like, the experience with Rust, it's
yes, yes. And I'm going to, for a second, explain that so people know what I'm talking about. Is before I knew you and I was about to make Meat Massacre 4, I said, oh crap. And I knew Lindsay was in Meat Hook 4. And of course, so is Mark Justice. And I'm like, oh crap, and you've worked with everybody, but it was mostly Lindsay that I was worried about. And I'm like, I need to go see Rust, because you were showing both back to back. And it was at the Millennium Bar or the Millennium Bar. Yeah. Millennium Bar.
Yeah.
And I went and I loved them. And that's where I think I officially met you. I already knew Lindsay from working on a couple other things, and I thought they were great. And then I bought the Wild Eye releasing DVD, and I thought, oh, they're both on here and stuff. And I didn't like the movies. Why? Why did I not like the movies? I'm like, there's got to be something missing here. And so,
Yeah.
and then I got the Blu-rays of them and went boom. This is why I love those Rust 1 and 2. They looked beautiful and I was all excited again. And then I got paranoid with other kind of wild eye releasing films. So it's nice that both of these at least are on, ITN, and they look good. I mean, as I'm sure Blu-ray,
Yeah.
is going to look gorgeous, but these
Yeah.
look 100 times better than Rust does. So I still get that.
I don't know.
The
I don't know if it's
DVD,
the way
but
they manufacture them. I'm not sure. I do know like Sony E1 manufactured the first Immortal Wars. But as far as like, I guess when they manufacture and mass produce these DVDs, something happens. The images get dark, they get compressed. I don't know what it is. I don't know. I've even noticed like I don't know if you've noticed like on images, the image of the actual disc, sometimes the image is really dark on some discs and then they're very light on others. It's really weird. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened with that. But yeah, Blu-rays, when you get the Blu-rays or when anyone buys Blu-rays of anything I do as far as the films, you're going to see it the way it's meant to be seen, those films. Not that I'm downing any of the distributions or anything like that. I'm thankful and I'm very happy that, they've supported my work. But that's just, it happens, I
just happen to have sitting right on top here, because I'm going to do a video with my Wild Eye releasing, but this is Rust.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, you see, even the artwork.
Well, compare it to, I mean, come on, look at that. That looks great. Just those colors are really vibrant and they pop out. When I do videos on like the dollar store, DVDs I always talk about colors and designs and, what looks good with, to the eye and all that stuff. I mean, you got a red, then you got the green up here. You got this gold up here that looks really nice. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be honest. The one thing that I hate the most, two things I hate the most of that is the bat. Not once does he use a bat on that cover.
That is a bat.
Scary. Yeah, he's not supposed to look badass. He's supposed to look scary.
That people.
Yeah.
Right there. See, you're crazy. I always thought maybe it was connected to this thing, like it was an axe, but I don't know. I think that's on the wall. I think it is a bat.
It is a bat. Yeah. Yeah. And then the logo too, they had changed the logo of the film and I just felt it looks more like an action film logo.
Right.
I don't know.
Looks more like Speed.
So yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I see, like a car racing action film. That's the way I see that logo.
Well, what do you think of how Travis looks here?
So as far as his hands and that's not the original image. I think all they took was his face, the hair, and part of the chest. The rest they created on their own.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could kind of see there's like a line.
Yeah.
That's right there where you could almost say that maybe it's like a belt or maybe where he ties it, but there is a line that's like right there.
I wasn't really digging that release. I mean, it is what it is,
I mean, it got out there.
Yeah, it got out. And I'm thankful for that. So people were able to see it, but for sure the Blu-rays definitely, they'll be, they're a lot better.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then of course I would imagine that Rust 3 will look awesome. So that's
very excited. Very excited for everyone to see Rust 3.
So with Immortal Wars Resurgence, when this came out, did you see your career go up at all? Like all of a sudden, were you getting projects coming into you?
Yeah, actually, it definitely helped my career. A lot of other contracts started coming my way. And not only to direct films, but also for VFX. People really liked what I did with the VFX, and so I got a few gigs for doing VFX for short films and feature films, as well as editing. I got a lot of editing gigs as well for after that film came out. And then I've been approached, people who want to do spin-offs to the franchise, stuff like that. And then what I did see a lot was like fan art. I started getting a lot of fan art from like people who like the characters.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool. That was really cool. I've anytime I get fan art, I'm like, I gush over it because it's insane to see that. But yeah, I mean,
someone took the time to do that. Somebody sat down for a couple hours and took what you created and made their own thing out of it. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, as I said, it's definitely the Immortal Wars. I'll say it changed my life. I mean, I was doing Italophobia and Rust before, and those were great, and people liked them. But the Immortal Wars just helped me out at a huge amount, and I'm just thankful and blessed. And yeah, that's why I'm like so excited for everyone to see all the new ones that are coming out.
Oh, me too. Yeah. Would you because you mentioned that people contacted you about doing spin-offs. Would you allow that to happen for any of your films?
So what I want to do, which is in the works, we're probably going to announce it or launch it early next year. So I'm directing. I've written and I'm directing all the episodes for season 2 of Immortal Legends. Like I said, the first one is Hellion, and then there's going to be a few more after that. Now, the third season, what I want to do, what we're planning on doing is I've written the scripts for all the episodes, but I want to give other filmmakers the chance to make the episodes, shoot them, direct them. I would just produce, and I'm the writer, and just have everyone get their hands in, there's 7 stories, there's 7 different characters. This filmmaker, you want it, all right, you take it, produce it, and we'll get it done. So that's the plan as far as the Immortal Legends, so people can get involved as far as the franchise.
Will it get to the point with the Rust films where we see Travis in space?
Please, maybe underwater.
Please. Like an underwater base, like they're mining. Cool. And they crack the rock open, and Travis like swims out and gets onto the base.
And he's like using the machete to like hold himself down and shit. Yeah, let's do it.
I like that. Yeah, I think every character should go to space. I mean, I think space is great. So
space.
I don't care what they say. Jason was awesome in space. Leprechaun was great in space. Pinhead was great in space. I love Jason X. Cool. Yeah, I mean,
I still watch that.
I know people always say, that's like the last frontier for these guys is space. And it's just like, oh, I love space. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
space is great.
Cool.
I love Pinhead walking around, in outer space. To me, that stuff is perfect. But I don't know what people are talking about. Now, of course, I've worked with you many times now. You have your hand in the pot of many projects. Do you wish that you had a larger crew, or do you kind of like to do stuff yourself because it's all in your head?
No, I like having, I aim to have a bigger crew. What I want to do is, I'm all about just giving the people opportunity. I was never given the opportunity coming up. Like, no one ever gave me the chance to show them what I can do, or like I remember I was on set once. I had just moved to Las Vegas, and they had me chopping wood on set. It was like, well, they were drinking and eating pizza, and I'm just like, I'm chopping wood, and it was almost like a hazing type of thing. The axe was this little tiny axe and big ass pieces of wood. So when it comes to crew, I'm just like, every project, assemble a new crew, whoever wants to come back from the last project we work on, and just give everyone the opportunity to be involved with what we're doing. Help everyone build their credits, their reels, and like I said, gain the exposure and the experience on set. So I'm open to just working with anybody. Yeah, I mean, well, not anybody. I'll stop it there. With most people.
Yeah, anybody is pretty broad, and there are definitely certain people I would never work with again.
Let's back it up a little bit. Not anybody.
Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. So yeah, that's definitely. So what was like the worst thing that happened on Resurgence, and what was the best thing that happened?
The worst thing. I can't say that there was like one specific thing that happened. I will say like the worst day on set was the cave scenes. When we were shooting, that was the last day of production. And everything that can go wrong went wrong. Anything and everything that could go wrong went wrong that day. It was everyone's tempers were flaring, people were on edge. It was just, I think we had hit the point where like, let's just get this fucking movie done. You know, yeah, no, that to me that probably be the worst thing that happened. You know, but I mean that happens on every set. You just have those days where just everything just doesn't work out. You just push through it. But the best thing, honestly, the best thing was just having everyone on set. The actors were always having fun. They were always having a good time. I think for me personally, the best thing was just seeing how much the world was growing as far as the Ravaged Rain universe. Seeing all the new characters, seeing like the returning characters, seeing all of that come to life was just like I can't believe we're back. You know, we're all back on set doing it for the next one. That was like the best thing out of the whole production. Yeah. Well, yeah. I do have one story. I was actually, it just hit me. So we're shooting with Eric Roberts. Great guy, by the way. He's real nice to me, very kind to me. Love working with him. So it was funny. So my DP, Roberts was getting ready for the scenes, whatnot. We had the PAs and the crew setting things up, and the DP had reached to grab something. Eric was right next to us, and I was doing something else. And Eric goes, "You're gonna make him do that?" And he looks at me, and then I look up like, "What?" And then my DP's like, "Oh no, I'm the DP. Joe's the director." Yeah, and then we're both like, he doesn't remember me from part one. But I'm like, this guy's probably shot like 200 movies since the first Immortal Wars. How's he gonna remember little old me? You know what I mean? So that was funny to see that. And then after that, it was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." You know, he apologized. And after that was really cool. But I always thought that story was funny because it was just like the way he looked at me. He's like, "You're gonna make him, like, you're gonna make the director hold that." Yeah, that was funny. That was funny. That was, yeah, we still laugh about that. That was funny.
Do I need to wear a hat that says director, a shirt that says director?
I know, right? I know. I'm like, yeah, that was funny.
And as far as editing goes now, with I mean, you're pretty much a master of this stuff, and it's. Do you think things like, you know, the Immortal Wars films and all that, if you didn't have this software and these programs and all that, do you think that they would have been made, or do you think they would have been done differently?
They would have definitely been differently. As far as the VFX, I mean, there's certain programs that I use that I learned through the process of editing both Immortal Wars. So I for sure, they would have looked completely different. I'll be honest, I don't even know if they would have been completed. You know, there was no budget to find an editor for the film. So the short answer would literally just be no. I don't think the films would have been done or look the way they look now if it weren't for all the assets as far as the post-production. Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, and I think in the first interview, you had mentioned that you were self-taught.
Yeah, all the VFX I ended up learning on my own through YouTube tutorials and all that. To be honest, because I had no other choice. It was something that I had to do to get the movie done. So I used what I learned with part one, and then I had already learned other techniques for other jobs that I had done before we started production on or post-production on the Immortal Wars 2. So it was a lot easier, but the workload had tripled as far as VFX goes. So that's why it took longer.
So when you're mapping something out, are you saying like, oh God, I don't know if I could do this effect, or is it just like, screw it, I'm just going to write it in. We're going to do it. I'm going to learn it, or do you tend to stay away from stuff?
I want to say for specific things, yes. I did write it to be more. I did write the scripts to be like, yes, I can do this. I know I can do this. But there were a few like specific scenes where I'm like, I don't know, but I'll figure out how to do it. And then it planned out. It ended up working out. I mean, there were times where it didn't work either. There were times with certain shots I was like, oh, the VFX looks total crap. I'm not doing it. So yeah, it worked both ways.
So do you know, like when we were out filming and we were like up in the mountains and all that type of stuff, do you know exactly like when somebody uses their hands, like if they have like fire or electricity, how, like if they're like, oh, or they're like, how do you work that with how they're moving their hands with absolutely nothing there, or maybe something is shooting out of their eyes? How does that work?
Those end up being, for me, I mean, everyone's different, but for me, they're more stylized shots. I stylize it and I make sure that this is exactly what I need just for that specific shot for those powers. That's how I've been doing it for all the films. There has been those rare occurrences where powers are being thrown and stuff, and it's just like, I wing it. Even when it comes to post-production, I'm like, ooh, that's a little harder. Then you have to crop out her hand. You have to, you know what I mean? Then it gets very tedious when it comes to that. But for majority of the time, it's stylized shots for make sure your hand is straight, or we keep on getting different takes to make sure the hand is in the same position, or like I said, their eyes or their mouth, wherever the power is coming from or how it's being manipulated. I make sure that we stylize that shot so that we make sure we get exactly what we need. Yeah.
So is it a matter of like, I need your hands to be more like that, just, keep them instead of moving like this?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because I also look like there's going to be trying to decide what the VFX is going to be. Say there's going to be power, or there's going to be fire coming out of your hands. Then, like I make sure that the actor they don't move their hands so crazy, because I'm going to have to track that. I'm going to have to mask out their fingers, all that stuff. So to make my life easier in post-production, I make sure when we shoot it, it's shot more exactly how I need it, basically.
So you're looking at that while, like, I'm guessing while script writing, you're looking at that.
Yeah.
While filming, you're looking at that.
Yeah,
and then
they'll be marked up on my script as well. They'll have its notes and all that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I've always wondered, since I'm not a visual effects person, like, and you see like the Marvel movies, there's like 10,000 people listed on doing these things, and you're one person who's taking care of it. I mean, and you got that trailer for, DK's Paradox out pretty fast, and you could see all that, Chris there bringing up, the smoke, and when he's out in the snow, and you got Lindsay doing her thing. I mean, that was pretty fast. Yeah. But you got to have some formula down, right? You got to have, like, you've done it now so many times.
I mean, yeah, I already know, like when it's Decay, I mean, I've done her powers for both films. So I already know what her powers are. I already know what I'm going to use, what assets I'm going to use to make that come to life. Yeah, I mean, I kind of get a little creative when I'm doing the VFX. Like, oh, this doesn't look, let's try this texture. Oh, you know what? I want it to be a little bit more like liquid instead of air type of texture or whatnot, or movement, how it's being, how they're manipulating it. So I kind of have fun with that. Sometimes I take too long with it if I'm being a little too overthinking everything, because I can hit that point at one time. But I mean, for the most part, I already know, okay, we're going to do this, I'm going to use this, and I put it together fairly quickly.
Now, I, being a novice at all this, I go to YouTube and download a green screen of an explosion or something. You know, that's where I'm at. I'm assuming that you actually use real programs and you know, Da Vinci and other things like that. You're just not going onto YouTube.
Yeah, no, I have these subscriptions to different websites or packages where they provides all these VFX elements. And I'm like I said, I'm very tedious to where, say there's an explosion in the forest and these people are fighting. Well, I'll lay in the explosion, but then I'm like, but then if it explodes, in reality, there would be the reflection of the flames would be on the trees. It would be on the ground. You know, you would see embers flying out. So I start getting very into like, oh, the depth. Okay, well, how far is it from the camera? So you know what? As far as the focus, match the focus of the trees it's next to. So that depth you get to make it look as real as possible. You know,
Right.
That's where it can start getting very tedious and very time consuming. Yeah.
Does doing work for other people, does that take away from your own filmmaking? I mean, obviously you got to pay the bills, but
yeah. No, not really. I mean, my schedule's pretty planned out, like in advance. So, like I already know, like from now to like the end of the year, I'm working on 3 features. Not shooting 3 features, but 2 of them are post-production. 1 is still in like maybe 70% shot. So I already know, and there's already specific dates that are written down. Like I only have from this day to this day for post-production. Then I have to do this, or I know there's 2 events coming up, so those are already set too. So I can't lock anything in those dates. So it doesn't really. If something comes in, we'll make sure that it's scheduled to on any of the days that I have open, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That's how I'm able to keep just keep things going. You know, it's, if not, I'd be a total mess, because I'll be working on something and then my mind is thinking of, okay, well, in the script I'm gonna do this, but I'm editing a whole different complete project. So I have to be very organized when it comes to what I'm doing.
Yeah. So how do you prioritize all that? Let's say there's a movie that you want to go see, you know, the new Jeepers Creepers film we discussed, or Wrong Turn.
Yeah.
Do you sit down and watch that, and then you're kind of like, I really should be editing, I really should be, or do you just kind of have that freedom?
For the most part, I do have that freedom, but even when I do have that freedom, I do find myself like that, where I'm punishing myself almost, or I'm getting mad at myself, like, your ass should be in the office working right now. You should not be sitting in this theater watching this movie. I do that all the time, which I think is very bad. It's a very bad habit of mine. But like, I want to go see the new Dune. So, you know, I want to go see it. So I already know, like, Tuesday night, I'm going to see this movie. I'll be gone for 3-4 hours, and you know what I mean? Then after that, I can get back into the office and work. That's kind of how I do it. It's very planned out, to where it sucks too, also because doing the random spontaneous things rarely happen in my life because of that. Because, you know, the rare occurrence that I do end up doing something that was not planned or scheduled, it throws me off. And it's like a ripple effect. Like, I had this deadline and I ended up doing this, and I surpassed 2 days, and you know what I mean? It can definitely bite me in the ass if I don't stay on top of it.
Yeah, you definitely have to. And it's a definite fault of mine is I know a ton about movies. I've seen a ton of films, and a lot of the people I talk to, you know, like when I've brought up something with you and you'll be like, oh, I don't know what that is, or I haven't seen it. And I'll be like, what do you mean? Well, you know what? While I'm watching that, you're editing. So I'm wasting my time watching a film that I should probably not be watching when I should be writing. So, I mean, I think that
I watch a lot of stuff while I'm editing. I'm always watching stuff. I have a TV here in the office, and I'll be playing a film while I'm working. But there is those times where I have to get out of here. I don't want to be in the office. I don't want to be at home. I want to just go out. And that's where I find myself, even when I am out, enjoying myself. Within 45 minutes, I'm like, fuck, I should go home and get back to work. I always do that. Always do that. Even with eating, it's bad. Like I eat quick. I'm always just eating fast. Like I have to go back to work. There's no time to sit down and eat. So I have to work on that. Definitely have to work on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it goes both ways. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, maybe you could watch a movie or two, and I shouldn't watch a movie or two, and somehow that would balance itself out. You know, so it wouldn't be. You know,
I think it's healthy. It's healthy to do that. As an artist, you have to separate yourself from the work to reset. So I'm getting better at it, but I do need to work on it a lot more.
no, I hear you. I hear you. All right, so that last couple questions, yay! And then we're almost done, or then we are done. We're past almost. Where can these films be seen? Where can Immortal Wars, Rust, Telephobia? Where can all these movies be seen?
So they're on streaming platforms, on various platforms. I know Tubi has a lot of my films for people to stream. That's including Rust, Telephobia, and the Immortal Wars, all three franchise. Amazon Prime. There's there's so many. DVDs, you can still buy DVDs online. I know Walmart still sells them. I think Best Buy also still sells the DVDs online. As far as those films, my latest project that I'm involved with right now, which is the United States of Horror, Chapter 1, that is just went live on VOD platform right now. I think it's only on Vimeo on demand, so you guys can see that. I know that it is a film with Doug Bradley, so he's actually, you know, I don't want to say too much, but he's a big part of the film, and I'm really excited because that just came out this past weekend for Halloween. Yeah, I mean, and then soon, I don't know when exactly, but soon we will have Blu-rays and DVDs available on Carcass Studios' website, so people can purchase them, and those will be more like special edition items because those I'll sign and we can, you know, get them signed and mailed out to the people directly. And then the comic books, you guys can find all the comic books at different comic book stores in Vegas, Los Angeles, and Texas, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And then I'll put, you know, send me some links. You know, I'll find links and I'll put them all down there for Tubi and other places where people can purchase or watch the films. And is there anything that you would? People... Oh, go on.
I was going to say, if people want to watch like trailers or go behind the scenes on certain projects, you could follow us on our YouTube channel or go to Carcass Studios' website or follow us on Instagram. You guys will see like exclusive content trailers on those specific platforms. Yeah,
you have, I think it's on the website, the Carcass website. You have like a ton of short films and other things on there. I mean, there's a lot.
And you won't see those anywhere. I mean, those won't be anywhere else but the website. Yeah. And I know if you are coming down, we're getting ready to take down a few for certain reasons, but not bad reasons, real cool, exciting reasons. But yeah, you can see some of the short films online.
Okay. And what's the website for that?
So that is carcass-studios.com.
Okay. Yeah. So people should go check that out because there is a lot there.
Yeah.
And lot, as my eyes, you know, a lot, because there is. You can spend an entire day just looking at stuff. So is there anything that you would like to plug, past, present, or future, whatever you would like to plug?
Honestly, I mean, like the Immortal Wars, you guys follow that, you know, check out what we're doing. Check out the websites. Each film also has their own page as well. So you guys could see artwork, BTS, all the character posters you were talking about. You could go check those out. Rust, we're getting ready for Rust 3. So get ready for that. We're going to be launching a few trailers coming soon. We're getting ready to do Billy the Feature, finalizing it. We're in the last few days of that. There's so many. Sorry. My new comic book is coming out soon. Nice. Tricalypse number 3. That is being finalized right now. It's looking really, really cool. I'm really proud of that project. And then United States of Horror. That is something that I was really excited to be a part of and honored to be a part of. That is through Dystopian Films. And there's a film right now, there's a short film that's in the film festival circuit right now called The Stitcher that I co-directed with Dave Bailey, in which we just I just received best cinematography at Thrill Chills Film Awards.
Oh, nice! Congratulations!
This past weekend. Yeah, thank you. Real cool project. It was a COVID short film. I was real proud of. I did all the editing and VFX for it, and co-directed and cinematography. And I'm really proud to check that out. I know it's in a few film festivals already. I'm trying to think what else. The Immortal Legends. You guys can see the Immortal Legends on the YouTube and at carcassstudios.com. I want to say that, and for those who don't know, I also am a singer.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Yeah. So I'll plug that in. I have 2 singles out. Something I've just been doing for therapeutic reasons, but it's growing on me. And I'm also involved with an album. My goddaughter, my niece Desi's album came out, and I was the executive producer for that album. And I'm also featured on one of her songs, Illusion. Nice. So go get those. You guys can buy your copies, or I believe at Zia Records, if not yet, soon, and if not, on iTunes and Spotify, as well as Chris Ivan's Biggest Battle, which I'm featured on a few tracks.
Yes.
And I believe, yeah. Oh, I was
good album. I like that. I like that album. I've heard it a couple times.
Yeah, it's a great album. Great album. And yeah. Desi Metamorphosis is her album. Chris's Biggest Battle, and my 2 singles, War and The Queen. You guys can, if you guys are into music, you guys can check out our music. Yeah.
Wow. You need a timeline just for that.
And I'm done.
And scene. Wow. Okay. Well, we are at that point. So we are going to wrap it up. And Joe, I really appreciate you being here. And
no, thank you for having me.
Of course, because we'll have to. I mean, we have so many movies. We gotta, have one for Rust, and I figure when Rust 3 becomes official, when it's out, we'll just do a video for Rust 1 and 2 together, and then and then we could do Telephobia 1 and 2 together, something like that, so it's not so cool. Spread apart, yeah, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. So always.
I have a lot for us to talk about.
Oh, you have many hats, that is for sure. So not just the one on your head. So, it's many that we can't even see. So, all right, everybody. Well, I am going to end this. Now I'm kind of rambling. So once again, thank you. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. I'm going to have all those links down there. This will be up this coming Wednesday, so only a couple days from now. And and so this should be a good one. And I guess that's it. So thank you. Thanks, everybody. And I will talk with you guys on the next one. Bye. Where's my hand? There it is. There it is. Hey, everybody. Thanks for hanging out after the video. And thank you for watching the very first Dark Park Films sponsored video. And who is that sponsor? Well, I've now learned if I do this with my hands, they go to the right area. There we go. That would be Wildlife Command Center Coffee. And you can purchase it right there. You can go to their website, which is buyWCC.com, and pick up their coffee. They have 2 blends, which I'm going to show you now. The first coffee is this one right here. This is a breakfast blend. It's 10 ounces, and it is a medium ground. And it does say, and it's breakfast, like I said, and this is what it says right here. It says, early bird can catch the worm. So there you go, a breakfast blend coffee that helps you catch the worm in the morning. And I really like this one. I'm more of a breakfast kind of blend coffee guy in the morning. So this one I really like. It has that little bit of oomph to it to kind of get you moving, get you up and out. And so I really enjoy this one. But that doesn't mean that I don't like the other one, which is this one right here. This is a dark roast. It is also 10 ounces. And both of these are $7.99 at their website. Pretty good price for 10 ounces worth of ground coffee. This one is, it's a little darker. So it's, I think it's better for drinking at night. Maybe if you're, writing a screenplay or if you're filming, this has got that oomph, that double punch to get you going. So this is one that I also recommend. I like both of these quite a bit, but I kind of do, the breakfast in the morning and then the dark more at night. So I recommend both of these quite a bit. And how did I find out about these two, these two coffees here? And how did I find out about Wildlife Command Center? Well, when I was working on Night of the Zomghouls, there was a box of coffee that was just sitting there filled with coffee. And we didn't know what to do with it. Like, whose is this? Who brought it? Why is it here? And so we just kept going to the store and buying coffee. And then one day I said, why don't we just get the coffee out of the box and use that instead of, wasting money on going to Smith's or whatever and picking up coffee. So we did. We did not realize that it was the Wildlife Command Center coffee and that it, was sponsoring the movie. And it was great coffee. Everybody loved it. And we just went right through it. By the last day of filming, this coffee was gone. And I went and found out, about Wildlife Command Center, asked if they would like to be a sponsor for Dark Park Films, for their coffee. As many of you know, I love coffee. I love coffee mugs. And so this was a perfect match. And Wildlife Command Center is great with animals. So they provide a great service for rescuing animals. So it's kind of that double whammy for me, where coffee, helping animals, you can't go wrong. And they were even cool enough to send me, get in there, a coffee mug, because they knew that I liked coffee mugs. And right now, I don't get that. A little bit. I want to go on the keyboard, but that's their dark blend, because I'm recording this at night. So I am actually drinking that while recording. Also, one thing that you can get at their website, which is cool, is you can get this. There you go. This pocket knife, which is $9.49. And this is pretty cool because it has their name on it. Wildlife Command Center, we can catch it. And this is what it looks like. Put that down there. There we go. Fully out. So you're getting like the bottle opener, you got the corkscrew, you got a screwdriver, you got a blade, and then you got this little hook thing that you can pop it into something that doesn't have a tab, and then the liquid or whatever in there will come out. So this is pretty cool. And I'm just going to keep mine in my car, because you never know, you might need a pocket knife. So please support them. I'm going to have links down below, where you can, check out just the Wildlife Command Center. I'll also have a link for Wildlife Command Center coffee, and it will basically be for both these guys right here. And please support them. I support them. I think what they do is pretty awesome. And maybe this coffee will be on your set or in your kitchen. It will definitely be, on my set in my kitchen. I know that. So please, once again, I'm going to show you these. Please go to their website and pick up their coffee and make it part of your day or night, depending on which one you like. So that'll be about it. I really appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, so thank you. And once again, please support my channel. Please support the Wildlife Command Center. And I will catch you later. Bye.